must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa. The television station is Punchline Africa TV, and we're coming to you all the way from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to be with you this Monday morning, the 9th of November. A bit chilly and rainy here in Nairobi, but I trust you had a good weekend and you've started off well for this week. So we shall be looking at the three leading newspapers here in the country. That is the Star newspaper, the Standard, as well as the Daily Nation, together with my panelists who shall be joining me in a very short bit. But before they get here, I think I'll get started, and we shall start with the headlines on the Star newspaper this morning. And the headline says, governors list their demands for BBI support. So let's see. Because yesterday we looked at a section of the things that the governors were saying they want to be included in the BBI report, and that is one, not to be made mandatory for, if say a governor is a male, then the female, the deputy has to be from the other gender, that is female, or if the governor is a female, then the deputy has to be a male. So they had a problem with that. For whatever reason, and I think we talked about it yesterday. This is a conversation that we shall continue having. And also the other thing was they had a problem with the way the money was going to trickle down to the counties there. And so let's see if at all they have a new list of demands that they want included in this BBI report. And the story is on page 4 and 5. Their county chiefs want, among others, powers to hire and fire their deputies. I don't know how this will actually play out. So let's just get a feel of what is it that our governors are demanding this time. So governors have proposed, I'm reading from page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper, says the governors have proposed at least 5 radical amendments to the BBI report, joining the growing list of disgruntled parties pushing for review of the document before a referendum. The county chief's demands raise the stakes that could send President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM chief Raila Odinga back to the drawing board in their campaign to release the BBI. If they choose, governors could block other issues. BBI has recommended changes in governor structure that the president and Raila are especially very keen on. Uhuru and Raila are to meet governors in a crucial 2-day session at Nashipai Spa and Resort in Naivasha starting today. The large meeting follows a smaller session with Raila last week when they failed to reach a deal on grey areas. Now the county chiefs have raised new recommendations likely to turn the BBI process into a daunting chess game. For instance, the county chiefs are demanding that the Building Bridges Initiative report be revised to give them a free hand to pick their deputies after general elections instead of going to the ballot with the running mate. I don't know. I think there's a I don't know, but perhaps it will be interesting to hear from Kenyans to just know what your thoughts are about this new demand by governors. They're now saying that they should be allowed, governors should be allowed to pick their deputies after the election. We know how it is right now in our constitution. You must choose your running mate before the election, and that is the way it is even for the presidency. Before the 2010 constitution, we used to go to an election, and then after the election, the president will choose, their preferred deputy president after the election. But after we promulgated our new constitution in 2010, you must have your running mate before you go to an election, so you become a team and people know should you win, this will be the president and this will be the vice president, or this will be the governor and this will be the deputy governor, as it is. But governors are saying this is not working way too well, and we've seen a lot of tug of war in several counties where the governors are not really working, don't have a good working relation with their deputies. So I don't know if this is out of that experience. I don't know if this is why they're demanding for it. It will be interesting to know if they were on the other side, the flip side, and they were the deputies, would they be having the similar demands, or is it because they're governors now and they think, they have that leeway? But let's see what else they want. Okay, so for instance, the county chiefs are demanding that the Building Bridges Initiative report be revised. I've seen that, to give them a free hand to pick their deputies. I don't know how I feel about this. I'd like to hear what Kenyans think about this demand by the governors for them to be given a free will, a way to choose their deputies as opposed to what we have right now. They also want powers to hire and fire their deputies, as they do with members of county executive committees, given that BBI proposes DGs be given ministerial portfolios. I don't know. But owing to like in Nairobi, we don't even have a deputy governor who resigned a couple of years ago. So we've been, Governor Sonko had been operating by himself, still does, until, Badi came in and is helping out. And it put Nairobi in a very precarious situation, because if we don't have the deputy and with Sonko, there was an impeachment move over him looming there that has since been called off. And he also has a case in court right now. Then what will happen? Should he be impeached, or the court finds him guilty and he's removed? What will happen? So we will be without a governor and without a deputy governor. So if you look at it from that perspective, I don't know. Pombe Magufuli, one of our ardent viewers here, you're wondering where Doctor is. Doctor is taking care of certain things that are important. Once he's able to do that, and he'll be able to join us very, very soon. So, but thank you for watching, and please continue keeping me company. Okay, so they want governors also want removal of proposal that they choose deputies of the opposite gender, meaning mostly women deputies. I don't understand what is wrong with that, because the last elections we had 3 governors, women, who were chosen by Kenyans, and all of them had their deputies were men. All of them chose men to be their deputies. But for the other, governors who were chosen, 44 of them, all of them were male, and they had male deputies. So this goes to show a lot, this says a lot about our politics here, and the male, and how they look at women leadership. No wonder some of these bills cannot even pass in Parliament, because the women had deputy governors as men, but the men refused. They did not even consider that. So now they are raising that problem, and they're saying, the law should not compel that if one gender is male, the other one has to be female, or vice versa. They're saying that should not be. So let's see one of the reasons they're saying why they're opposed to the gender. They're saying the county chiefs are also pushing for strengthening, so they do not even give the reason there. The county chiefs are also pushing for strengthening the Senate as the upper house to protect devolution, a radical recommendation that will rattle members of the powerful National Assembly. On Sunday, the Council of Governors Chairman Wycliffe Oparanya told the Star the Naivasha meeting will discuss how the BBI proposals can strengthen devolution, and we shall be looking at on top of the hour devolution and how BBI has been able to capture this in line with some of the recommendations that Kenyans put forth to the BBI team, and what they want and the changes perhaps, and how that is working for them. So we shall be looking at devolution, and if at all devolution has been adequately addressed in the BBI report. So we shall be looking at that at 11 a.m. We shall look at that in depth. Of course. So as governors, that is what Oparanya said, our biggest focus now is mainly how to use the report to entrench and protect devolution, especially in matters to do with the flow of finances. The biggest challenge we have had as the devolution family has been irregular flow of funds from the National Treasury. And this is, I think, a concern that has been raised. Sometimes the monies that is meant to go to the counties is not given at the right time. So by the time it is released from Treasury, a financial year is almost coming to an end. So a lot of that is returned back to the Treasury. So this has been a problem that I hope can be addressed. But also we know that the BBI proposes that 35% of the country's of the budget will be going to, devolution there, to our counties, to support devolution. So I think that is a good thing, coming from 15% to 35%. This is a lot of money. And if our county bosses, they are able actually to prioritize very well, then I think this will go a long way in addressing a lot of issues that affect Kenyans down there in the counties and, in the interiors there, that a lot of concerns and things and needs that Kenyans would want to be addressed. And so now, the governors and the counties will have enough money to do that. But in order that that should happen, then the governors are asking, can we be having this money, please, being given to us on time? And also, we've seen reports, especially from years back there, the Auditor General, the then Auditor General, Mr. Ouko, releasing report about counties, and you'd see a lot of monies that were being allocated to the counties. A lot of them did not even go to development. You'll find about 3% going to development. Much of the monies there were going to, paying of wages and the county staffs, entertainment, things that has nothing to do with the development. And so, common Monanchi, or from places where they were thinking, now we have devolution and now we have, our resources much closer to us. We will be able to benefit. Our water problems will be able to be addressed. Maybe the county governments will think about digging several boreholes or things like that in areas that is needed. Or perhaps our inroads, we will get that tarmacked or made, and things like that. Because the devolution was created to address certain needs that perhaps when we had the other constitution and the way it was set up, it was very difficult, and there are places where they could not really feel as though they were being catered for. And that was the aim of devolution, to ensure Kenyans across the country, they were able to receive the services. The services from the government were closer to them through devolution, and the needs were able to be addressed effectively through devolution. And there are places in this country where that has happened, and there are also places where that has not happened. And that is because a lot of governors, they have the priorities upside down. Really, they have not really factored in and understood why we even have the devolution. They've not captured the essence of the devolution. So I don't know if this new increment in the monies that will be going to the counties, they will not have an excuse now but to deliver. I don't know if that will make a difference, but that is something that we're yet to see if at all these changes that have been proposed by the BBI will sail through. All right, so those are just some of the things that they want. So they want, of course, the report to protect devolution. Okay, and he said the county chiefs hope the president and Raila would live up to their promise to receive new recommendations. There are a number of issues we need to amend, and the president has been clear there is room to improve the report. The former prime minister has also said that the BBI report is not cast in the stone, so we shall put our heads together. I think this must be music to the ears of, say, somebody like Deputy President William Ruto, who has also been calling for the BBI team to be open to amendments and for consultation and for other ideas to better, as the Deputy President said, it could be good, but you should always be open for better ideas to make the BBI report better. And we know that has been his call of late. He's saying, hey, we need this to be inclusive. We need this to be inclusive. So can you be open to other ideas? So now I see the governors are also having a bit of things that they want included in the PBI. And, Raila Odinga the other day during the burial of Gitonga there said, it's not really cast on stone. There's a possibility we could just just a little bit allow a couple of things to be nipped and tucked inside there so that everybody's, important needs are able to be addressed as from the national point of view. All right. So maybe that will be, I don't know if it will be a window also to accommodate other views from the deputy president. I'm not sure, but we shall see how that plays out. And I don't know how they will address that issue on, governors not wanting it to be included in the constitution about having the gender parity and the gender balance there. I'm not sure how the women of this country will receive that, but let's see how that will work out, because even right now we're still trying to to meet the constitutional requirement of having a 2/3 gender representation in our parliament. That has almost put President Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency in jeopardy there, but thank goodness a court overturned that advice by Chief Justice David Maraga for President Uhuru Kenyatta to break the parliament because it was illegally constituted, and so that is already a headache that you're dealing with, because that was included in the constitution. So it is a constitutional requirement and you cannot argue with that. And so maybe they're thinking, should this also be put in the constitution so the hands will be tied and they have to abide by the constitution? But why is it that our male governors there or leaders there automatically assume, and this is a conversation we had yesterday, that it's them who will be the governors and they assume the women will be the deputies? Why can't it be the other way around? Because they're looking at it from their own perspective, which I think is quite interesting. But they should look at it from a broader perspective and see. Of course, they look at our historical marginalization, especially when it comes to women and leadership in this country, and not just in this country, across the world. Women are still trying so hard to break the glass ceiling. In some places it has not happened. The US, in all its history of democracy, for the first time is when they're having a woman vice president. They've not heard a woman president. Clinton tried a couple of years ago. It did not work out for her. So we should encourage everybody to come to the table. At the end of the day, women are many, and I don't want to sound like a feminist here, but I think I find it interesting. I would like to know the reason why our governors do not want this gender parity when it comes to choosing their deputies, or vice versa. If a woman is the governor, then the man becomes the deputy. If a man is the governor, then the woman becomes the deputy. So I'd like to hear the reason as to that, because they're saying, no, we don't want this, but they're not giving a reason. I'd like to hear the side of the story. Maybe they are afraid because of what now is happening with the 2/3 gender parity there. But what is important now? We need everybody on the table. We need more representation from both men, women, the young people with disabilities, and these are issues that have been addressed on the BBI. And so let's see. I really want to hear what their reason is. Is it a reason or an excuse? But I want to hear it, because then it's just saying we don't want that to be included in the constitution. But why, Chairman of Council of Governors Wycliffe? What is the reason? What is wrong with that suggestion? That is what I want to hear. All right, and also a viewer, let me know what you think of that matter. So that is that. And also, on the side here on page 5 of the Star newspaper, what governors want: a power to hire and fire their deputies. I'm not sure how that will work out. And free hand to pick deputies from either gender. All right, the gender thing. Be allowed to pick deputies after election. Okay. Entrench Council of Governors in the Intergovernmental Relations Act, and also control of budget. Be allowed to release funds without adhering to County Funds Act. And also strengthening of the Senate into the upper house. And other contentious issues is creation of the Judiciary Ombudsman, appointment of IEBC commissioners, creation of the National Police Council, distribution of the 70 new members of parliament. So those are some of the contentious issues that will be discussed today. Governors are meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga today, and those are just some of the things that they shall be looking to discuss further. A lot of contentious issues there. So we were looking at the governor's list their demands for BBI support. That was the front pages of the Star newspapers. And on this flip side there, it says Ford Kenya rivals clash over meeting to kick out Wetangula. Rival factions battling to control the control of Ford Kenya have clashed over National Delegates Congress set to endorse the ouster of party leader Moses Wetangula. Now Wetangula has declared as illegal, null and void the November 21st NDC convened by Wafula Munyinyi-led camp, saying it has not been sanctioned by party organs. Okay. And also down there, EACC recommends prosecution of top state officials, that is an MP, and top officials in the Ministry of Agriculture, and an MP could face prosecution of a 1.8 billion Kenya shillings maize scandal imputation. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recommended to DPP Nordin Haji to charge the Lord with several accounts of corruption. It names the legislator as Lunga Lunga Member of Parliament, but does not give the name. Okay, because this is a story that I think Kenyans will be interested, because we know President Uhuru Kenyatta, among other things, the big four agenda that we know is his legacy, but we also know that he's also very, he has been very on the forefront when it comes to the war against corruption. That is something that he has been very vocal about. So let's see this year. Now, top officials, page 6 of the Star newspaper, top officials in the Ministry of Agriculture and a Member of Parliament could face prosecution over 1.8 billion Kenya shillings maize importation scandal. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recommended to DPP Nordin Haji to charge the Lord with several accounts of corruption. It names the legislator as Lunga Lunga Member of Parliament, but does not give the name. The investigations file is on the DPP table, awaiting his note to trigger the arrest and arraignment of the officers. EACC Chairman Eliud Wabukala and CEO Swali Barak revealed the looming prosecution of the officers and the MP in a report filed to Parliament last Thursday. So this is something that we shall be looking at. So what really happened? Now, according to the report, the EACC found the ministry officials capable for irregular withdrawal of Kenya shillings 1.8 billion from the bank accounts of Strategic Food Reserve. Oh, I remember this story. Sometimes earlier this year, a fund at Central Bank for Importation. No, it was in 2018. They withdraw the money without the nod of the Strategic Food Oversight Board, contrary to the PFM Act regulations. The money was withdrawn last year and paid by the Agriculture Ministry to private company as pending bill for the maize board during the 2016-2017 financial year. And guess who? The procurement was done during the tenure of William Bett as Agriculture CS, but the payment was made while Mwangi Kiunjuri was in charge at Kilimo House. Okay, Mwangi Kiunjuri, we know he was removed earlier. I think earlier this year, sometimes back, and replaced there. And now we see there's a problem there, and he might be needed there. I don't know. Well, the ex-CS also questioned by a parliamentary committee. However, the report fell short of recommending Kiunjuri's prosecution, and investigations revealed that via a memo dated May 31st, 2017, the head of procurement unit recommended the use of restricted tendering method based on the fact that drought had been declared a national disaster. We know what happened then, and we know when we had to buy a 2 kg packet of maize flour there at I don't know how much. Remember that a shortage? It was said it was a shortage that was created by I don't know, cartels. You remember when he had a bit of some shortage of maize, sometimes was it in 2017? So that is when that happened. But the money was released when Mwangi Kiunjuri was the CS for agriculture. So this is a story I'm sure Kenyans are interested and want to know what really happened and how did somebody release 1.8 billion Kenya shillings and what happened to that money, and did it follow the right procedures? And we can see there it did not. So this is a story that we shall be following up for you. And also on matters corruption, EACC sting reveals rampant bribery for services to bend the law. That is on page 7 of the Star newspaper. And it says, you want your child safe from your abusive partner? That will be 50,000 Kenya shillings, says the children officer. That was the experience of a parent in Kilifi who sought custody of her child whose life was in danger. A policeman attached to Kilifi police station working in cahoots with a children's officer demanding the bribe so she could get the child. The ethics, what? Like, that is just out of order. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, detectives planned and executed a sting operation on December 19th, 2018, after it received a complaint at the Huduma Center desk in Kilifi. Investigations established that although police officer and children's officer demanded the bribe, it was only the children's officer who received the 2,000 trapped money since the police officer had traveled, the commission said in a report. Like, how do you, like, there are matters where, like, a child's life is in danger. There are matters where humanity and a sense of decency and some character should come first. So somebody wants to go get their child and remove them from a situation that is potentially a threat to their life and their safety. And because they need some legal authorization, you are demanding for a bribe for you to write what you need to be writing, to do your job. That is disgusting. That is just out of order. Like, there are things that you can, I know you can bribe other things, but there are matters that, no, that is just too far. So now the EFCC recommended prosecution of the two officers by DPP Nudin Haji, asked the commission to carry out further investigations, and also in Kisumu and all that. So now they're saying, there has been some rampant bribery. I'm not really surprised. And even we're seeing right now, if you don't wear a mask in public, then, you will be charged a good 20,000 Kenya shillings. So I've seen Kenyans all over the place wearing their masks, even though others are still not wearing them correctly. Maybe they should also have some charges for that. If you're just having a mask and you're not putting it on well, then there should be some penalty for that as well. But I've seen Kenyans wearing their mask because of these new rules. If you've gotten out there without a mask, then police will hold you accountable, will arrest you on the spot, and you have to part with 20,000 shillings. So in this regard, you either pay 20,000 or you pay 1,000 shillings or 500 to the police officer, and then you're released. But how many times will you have to be paying all the small bribes? Because I'm sure a lot of Kenyans would rather just give the police some bribe instead of just paying the full penalty, because of not wearing a mask. So I think this is a good thing, as much as people are saying, oh, this will increase a lot of corruption and bribery. Yeah, how many times will you be willing to part with that 500, 1,000 shillings? So you'll be forced to wear your mask. That is costing about, 20 shillings, 50 shillings. So you'd rather just buy that mask instead of parting with 20,000 shillings or whatever, bribe that you'll be forced to give the police officers. I think, as much as Kenyans think this will increase bribery, I'm thinking this is the one time I'm actually okay with with that. Because how many times are you going to bribe? You will be forced to wear your mask. So just get your mask and wear it properly so that we're able to fight this COVID-19. And by the way, it is for your own good. The government has nothing to gain from it. When you're dead, our lives will just continue. The rest of the people who have taken good care and kept, adhere to these measures. So wearing a mask is not for the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta. It's not for the CS of Health, Mr. Mutahi Kagwe. It's not for the police officer. It is for you and your children and your loved ones and your neighbors and your co-workers. Please just do it for yourself then, if you don't want to do it for anybody else. Wear your mask, all right? Okay, for your own good. Okay, so that is that. Now we turn our attention, we turn our attention to the Daily Nation. And the Daily Nation this morning, on the headlines there says the MCAs face legal horror in 2022. Like I said there earlier, I know we've talked about the governors there and their demands, but I shall be coming here at 11 with the rest of the panelists to look at how the BBI report, the second draft, has addressed matters, devolution, and of course the flow of money in the counties. I see it's something there that governors are raising some issues on, among other things that they're saying. but we shall look at it in details at 11 and see the evolution and how it has been captured and addressed in the BBI report. And so the front pages of the Daily Nation this morning, MCAs face legal horror in 2022. Oh, what is that? Now, new order, a law passed in 2012, has come back to haunt politicians as they must now have a degree to run for any seat. They'll go buying these degrees, I promise you. I promise you. But the County Assembly's Forum has vowed to move to court to block requirement they say is unconstitutional and against the will of the people. All right, so I understand because a lot of work they do for us, the MCs, they are quite important. And we remember days ago or years back before a new constitution, education level was really not a requirement. You'll find people even heading ministries and they're not even qualified. They didn't even have the basic education requirements to even, function properly and take care of the responsibilities in the different roles that they were given. But that was a long time ago, and so it was revised when we were promulgated our new constitution, and now education became a key requirement. So now there's a law that was passed in 2012 that now wants even the MCAs to have a degree. Because, right now, if you're a member of parliament, then they have a requirement for the governors. You must have a master's degree, and a lot of them are very questionable. Very, very questionable. Very questionable. A lot of them did not go to school and actually acquire this. A few have. We have good, good academic minds in our government, in the Senate and all that. We do have that. Even the members of parliament, we do have those who are really well educated. But now there has also been a debate in Kenya, and they're saying, when you want to be a leader, does good leadership, does education has anything to do with leadership? Or you're born a leader. Education is just a plus, and you really don't need to go to school for you to be a good leader. But the thing is, some of these laws and some of these things that they discuss requires some level of understanding and comprehension. And that sometimes when you're well educated and you're well knowledgeable, I think it becomes very easier for you to comprehend certain things. But even with the few that we already have in the on the MCA there, and we see the county and how they carry out their businesses, those bad habits and behaviors that we still used to see back then, when anybody could go and become a member, back then it was councillors, now it's MCAs. We still see those habits. We still see the blackmailing and all that happen. And I don't know if the degree will help and perhaps will bring some level of decency and just, I'm not sure. But now this law is here and it is going to haunt the MCAs. And guess what? 2022 is far off. How many years are before the next election? Just under 2 years now. And you'll be surprised that a lot of them here that don't have that. But by 2022, a degree that is supposed to be taking 4 years, they would have done it in record 1 year. I promise you. They will go and buy these degrees, I tell you. So let's just see. So that is where the EACC comes in, please. You have to make sure these people qualify. Yes. So page 4 of the Daily Nation says a law requiring contestants for MP and MCA seats to have a university degree qualifications is set to take effect in 2022 general election, locking out hundreds of potential aspirants whose plans to acquire the academic papers have been derailed by COVID-19. No, I was still having my evening classes, online classes. So anybody who was really interested in going to school would have joined and had their evening classes or online classes for that matter. So I don't know how COVID-19 hampered that, but let's just see. The law, whose implementation date has been postponed several times, is set to take effect in 2022, and members of the National Assembly in 2017 amended Section 22 of the Election Act that prescribes minimum academic qualifications for lawmakers at both levels of government. Now, the amendment requires members of parliament and members of county assembly to have a minimum bachelor's degree before they are cleared to contest. I think on one hand, it's a good thing. As I said there, when you're educated, like your level of comprehension of things is just different. I'm not saying for the people who are not that well educated it's a problem, because I know the most wise people I've met in my life are people who don't have such a good education you would consider. So wisdom and knowledge is just different. But I think it's good because a lot of things they discuss and the laws and all that, they're a bit complicated and requires intense knowledge of certain things. So if you're not a well-rounded individual and you don't have the capacity to comprehend even some of these technical things that are being discussed there in the county assemblies, in parliament, you require because you're going there to debate on laws. So we would like for you to be on a level where you understand what is being debated upon. When you're standing up and giving your point, you can debate very well, and that could be the reason why a lot of our members of parliament cannot even debate in parliament. When you see the list of members of parliament who even engage in debates in the house, there are people who have never even engaged in debates in the house, or even if they do, very, very little. And so because sometimes people they're just afraid because they might not really comprehend what is at hand. So we need people who actually have a good level of comprehension of what they're debating upon, they're talking about in parliament. And that comes when you have some good education there. It becomes easier for you even to express yourself. But, so let's see how that will work out. So I'm joined by, of course, the professor himself, Professor Jared Onyari. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Miriam, and our viewers.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, so here's the thing. So we're having our members of parliament and MCAs who the law is requiring for them to acquire their university degree, and this might come into effect in 2022. So a lot of them might be attending your class, Professor, very soon.
I'm teaching. I'm teaching some, and
you are.
It is a good thing, Miriam. You know what? You know the qualifications of a governor.
He must
have a degree and that. And the role of the members of the county assembly, Miriam, is to oversight, is to legislate and represent people. So, Miriam, if the governor is having this kind of qualification, you are going to oversight this person, Miriam. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you understanding? Mm-hmm. So they must be able to be at the equal footing so that they can be able to understand what goes wrong, what goes on. So Miriam, and it was supposed to come effective, and when we mitigated Miriam, it was postponed. It is not cast in a stone, Miriam. Mm-hmm. Rome was not built that day, and we hope that one day we can be there. If we by now we take a stock and find that still there is need, they can have an extension of another one more term, but that's where we want to be because that is their role. And as you can see, in some areas, some of the MCS can literally speak even English, medium. So you really understand how do you read those, the budget, how do you understand, how do you register it. So medium is a good thing. And the fact that they're having that function of oversighting, mm-hmm. they must have that degree, there is no choice.
Mm-hmm. So MCAs have vowed to move to court next week to challenge the law requiring them to have a university degree, terming it as having the potential of subverting the will of the people. The County Assemblies Forum, the caucus that brings together all the 47 county assemblies, yesterday said the provisions contained in the Elections Act of 2012 could lock out a majority of MCAs who at present lack university degrees, but who consider themselves qualified leaders. So they're saying, for me to be a qualified leader, I don't need qualification in terms of papers there. I can still be a good leader. But if you understand, professors, you have their work is to oversight the governors who have master's degrees according to the requirements we have on the law, and also some things that they look at, these bills in the county assemblies and all that. They could be complicated for somebody who cannot really comprehend them very well because they lack that education factor there. So do they not see this point?
Miriam, if we take it from the requirement of you to be a governor, you must have a degree, at least a degree. Mm-hmm. There are some of the governors, I don't know how they manage to acquire these degrees. And in fact, some of them who bought those certificates, I've fallen on the wayside. They are not in office, and even when they have got even a speech prepared for them, Miriam, they can literally read a speech, leave alone to internalize and speak. Reading something which you have been given to, which has been prepared for you.
Exactly.
So Miriam, courts are free. We cannot stop you from going to court. Let them just go to court and let us see how they will mitigate. But so long as you have got that oversight role, and I'm seeing that the judge posing that question, the one I'm giving you, I'm saying the oversight. Where you can be a good reader, I have no quarrel. You can be. We have had good readers with no those kind of requirements. But Miriam, they will be asked now that you don't want to have this degree. How are you going to oversight? How are you going to oversight? And I'm seeing their counsel, their advocate, going to find it so difficult to convince the court. The court was very gracious, and they said, okay, fine. What we need to do is let us give them time. And the proposal I'm giving Miriam, we said, no, 5 years is enough for you to attain the diploma or the degree. If you were serious, you are classes with I've taught some. And Miriam, that's a good piece of law and requirement we will need to move forward. And again, Miriam, you either choose, you are going for that office or you don't. Not all of it. We are 47 million Kenyans, and we are having 2,000 something numbers of the MCS. Not all of them are MCS. And as you have literally said, some of the members of parliament who are not properly schooled, the likes of Oscar Sudi, they can engage you in the social media here. They can talk and incite people here. But in the National Assembly,
he's never spoken.
Where they are supposed to debate.
He's never spoken according
to laws. Miriam, how do you make a law if you really don't understand these things?
He has never debated.
You are supposed to do some research.
Yes.
You are supposed to make a contribution. You don't go to Parliament to make a quorum. Your work is to make a quorum and go and sit in the committees and sign, and you get allowances. No. If we, Miriam, we have chosen to be a progressive society and a democratic society. If that is the route we have chosen, Miriam, let us go to it. And if we don't have this, I expect that in PPI, let them just go and knock out the oversight role. Give a recommendation. We don't want oversight role, so that the oversight role can be given to somebody else who can oversight the governors. But I think the people who have got the mandate, who have been elected, the people, they stand a better chance to oversight. And that's basically, Miriam, what I can say. Look at the caliber of men and the women who are in the Senate. Apart from being sometimes behaving, bring politics and trying to be partisan. But Miriam, when they debate, you admire.
It's true.
Honestly, you admire.
Okay, and so you mentioned Sudi. According to Parliament records, he has never participated in any debate. Sudi has never opened his mouth in Parliament and debate and anything. So, okay, it's just a by the way. And so he said, the chairman of the MCAs, CAF, Mr. Ndego Ahome, he said that the MCA should not be blamed for the poor bills. Yeah, because... Yeah, so he's saying the MCA should not be blamed for the poor bills, and motions reported to have been passed and
said by the year 2022 that you should at least have a degree. You don't wait until 2022 and then you at least you may. There are some who have made efforts, Miriam, I know. They know, do I need to enter into this business? These are the requirements of this. Miriam, when advertisement is done and the qualifications are put, so that you can apply. We don't throw a qualification simply that we want to accommodate you. You read the qualification, you find that you are qualified, you apply. So 2022, the law will come in force. This will be the requirement. Even Miriam, let me tell you, they are talking about some level of training. Some level of training requires that you must have some basic knowledge, Miriam. Miriam, there's one of the MCS I will find the clip and I will share with you from Kisii County. He can barely speak English medium. Mm-hmm. He fights and struggles to speak that English medium. And you stand in the county assembly and then you say, oh my God, how did it happen? So still with your level of education medium, you can still find something you can do. Mm-hmm. It's not all of us can be MCAs. You can at least find something to do. Let us give it a try, Miriam.
All right. So Nandi Senator Samson Chiralgei yesterday supported the requirement for minimum academic qualifications for legislators, saying there should be no further delay in implementing the law. As a country, we need minimum qualifications for lawmakers. I'm not saying that degrees confer leadership qualities to an individual, but it is an important requirement because lawmakers require some competence, which is only obtained through academic achievement. That is not rocket science there. It is the truth. Now, a perusal of MP CVs posted on Parliament's website indicates that more than 230 members of Parliament have between a first degree and a PhD, and thus meet the minimum requirement should the law come into force, which is not bad, over 230 MPs. And about 50 MPs did not submit their CVs. While another 50 claim to be undertaking undergraduate studies in various universities across the country. That is very good. And in the Senate, 6 senators don't have their CVs on the website. Okay. While 4 others lack degrees according to the uploaded CVs. The Senate, going by the submitted data, has a high constellation of educated individuals. As you have said, their Professor Senate has the most educated people. At least 13 senators are PhD holders, while 56 have between a first and second degree. And you can, Professor, as you have rightly pointed there, you can see the quality of debate that takes place in the Senate floor as opposed to the ones that, even in members of Parliament, as we have seen, a lot of them are educated, but sometimes you can tell the difference. The quality of debates there.
That's true. That's Miriam.
All right.
Miriam, it goes. Education is supposed to open an empty mind and put something inside, and you become a better person. Mm-hmm. And Miriam, those I teach development, and some of these senators or leaders. And the MCAs, Miriam, and I get an opportunity to tell them what they need to go and do in their counties in terms of sustainable development, in terms of environment, in terms of ensuring that the country moves forward. Miriam, they have a key role to play in terms of the development of this country. To improve the quality of life of the people, Miriam, they should be able to understand these kind of things. Even when the Auditor General gives the report, Miriam, those kind of jargons, if you don't have some levels of education, you may not understand. Mm-hmm. Well, we may give you research assistant, and again, when they explain to you, you should be able to grasp, Miriam. Mm-hmm. So what I have said, the law should come in force, and it is not cast on a stone. If we find that still there's a number, and if they mitigate very well, we can give them one more term, and then we should be able to conclude this business.
Or maybe should we lower the education qualification to maybe MCAs to a diploma, because even a diploma is good enough, and then maybe the members of Parliament degree. Or
there are some already, Miriam, if it may come in force, and we find they are still pursuing.
Okay.
They are still in class, and they have been MC. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. I
am trying to say the only way we can be able to move all of us. Mm-hmm. You don't go to class, but you want to be a member of the county assembly. You must be able to be making progress. Maybe someone they tested 2 years ago and they're still pursuing, and he has not attained. We can be able to see, Miriam, and what can be done. Mm-hmm.
But bottom line, education is important, I think, for better,
very well, Miriam.
For quality bills, for quality representation. We want people who understand what they're doing there to represent us, please, who can comprehend better. So education is important. All right, so we go to some news on the side there. Ruto not losing any sleep over ICC case. Lawyer Katwa Keegan says case against DP collapsed because allegations were unfounded. We have to look at that story on the back page of the Daily Nation that says Deputy President William Ruto's legal team remains upbeat despite lawyer Paul Gisheru's surrender to the International Criminal Court, whose evidence may lead to the revival of 2008 post-election violence case. In an interview with The Nation, lawyer Kashwa Keegan said the case collapsed because the charges against DP and radio journalist Joshua Arabsang were unfounded. In whatever event, please remind yourselves that they already got an acquittal because the charges were based on unproven allegations, unfounded claims, false testimonies, and empty assertions from main witnesses, though whose characters and testimonies had no integrity, he said. Mr. Gicheru, whose ICC case began on Friday, oversaw an alleged scheme to influence witnesses to either recant or drop their evidence against Mr. Ruto, according to submissions made by ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda. She also listed ICC fugitives Philip Kipkoech Bet and journalist Walter Baraza as co-conspirators. So Ruto's lawyer there is saying, no, my client is sitting pretty. Who told you he's losing his sleep? Ulisikia wapi?
Miriam, I like that, and Kato Keegan for having spoken for his client.
Yes.
No, Miriam, you want him to come and tell us that he's not sleeping. Is it possible? Mm-hmm. That he will come and tell us the deputy president, the deputy president is not sleeping because of the ICC? I am trying to think that when Miriam, someone is telling you that one, mm-hmm. the opposite is true. The opposite is true. Okay. When he's telling that... When he's saying, when he is saying that his client is not, the deputy president is not missing the sleep, my training tells me that the opposite is true because he cannot tell us that he's not sleeping. But Miriam, as I've said, and the lawyer Gicheru did very well. He wants to go there and clear his name for the good of himself and the good for his family and the good for everybody else. And Miriam, what we need to do is telling us that the case was acquittal, but Miriam, as I've raised, that there were some people who lost lives, they lost their properties, people were put in charge, children, people who are physically challenged. That's something we need to address. It has not been addressed, no matter how many years it takes.
It has to be addressed.
And he's trying to tell you, Miriam, that the investigations were not properly done. So it means that if investigation can be done, we will know who killed people, why they killed people, why they forcefully evicted people from their farms. So Miriam, this is a kind of conversation. And if Miriam, why do you fear that you interfered with the witnesses? Why can't they just go if they did not interfere? Then Miriam, then they will be acquitted. Because in the court, Miriam, what is presented is evidence. And the evidence is done in a way that the both sides must be listened. The prosecution is alleging that you interfered with our witnesses. Which is other way you can do is to appear before that court the way Gicheru has done, and yes, he has said that I did not interfere with the witnesses. And then the prosecution will give their side of the story. They will give evidence. When you go to a court of law, Miriam, especially on an international court like that, you give evidence. We don't take hearsay. We don't take lies. We don't take rumors. You take evidence. So what I need to do is to urge Barasa and Bet, no matter how long it takes, Miriam, you will go to your grave, but history you cannot delete. It remains history that you once had an warrant of arrest from an international court and you did not clear yourself. So they rather be on the better side of history, on the right side of history, just as Gicheru has done.
All right.
And I tell him this is, and I've been following. He has even said he used his own money, his own expenses, to appear before that court. This is the highest sign of patriotism, Miriam. This is what somebody with character, integrity you can have. You cannot be walking, Miriam. You don't know what it means that you walk in a restaurant like this and people say that man has got an international. He has got a warrant with international court. Miriam, he chairs a board in export processing zone, and is the chair of the board. Sometimes you can cross with someone and they can tell you, this person, this chair of ours. Yeah. So Miriam, this must, according to Gicheru, must come to an end. If the court decides they will put him for 5 years, jails or prisons are not meant for other angels, Miriam. It is meant for people who have made mistakes, and if it would be a lesson to other people that if you interfere with the witnesses, there are some consequences. So kudos to Gicheru.
And I'm assuming the ICC jail cannot be anything like a meet. It must be a bit comfortable, but jail is jail anyway. When freedom has been curtailed.
In fact, the rider is the judge was very, very, very categorical to ask him, "Do you have anything to say why you coerced and you came from?" And he was able to make that kind of clarification.
Yeah.
So it raised the matter that it was somebody, it was the government. They knew there was rumors. Oh, it is the government. It is people from a certain region in this country are doing it. Miriam, I think Gicheru got a very good forum. He got a very good airtime to say what he wanted to say.
Very well. So Mr. Baraza and Mr. Bet are still at large, but are believed to be living in Eldoret. Ms. Bensouda last week asked President Kenyatta's administration to hand over the two. The alleged bribery attempts began in April 2013 when the Ruto Sang's case were to begin. After a few postponements, the cases started when Ruto was deputy president, having been elected in August on a joint ticket with President Kenyatta. So they even have a timeline as to when they suppose that the witnesses they started, tampering with the witnesses, according to the ICC chief prosecutor there, Fatu Bensouda. And this is a story, of course, that we shall be following for you, because also it is of national interest. The rest of the stories, I think we shall look at.
Hear this.
Yes.
Kabuga has been learning for how many years?
For a bit over 25 years.
Yes, over 25 years.
Yes.
Has he been arrested? And by then, he's 86 years. Subtract 21 years, 25. He was 61.
Yeah.
So long as you have a warrant, it matters. It doesn't matter. We will get you when you are almost. We can even when you are old, and you will appear before court and answer those kind of charges. So you are not safe. Don't run away from the law. How long will you run from the law? Unless you go to the grave. And when you go to the grave, you will go with a bad name.
Yes.
This man, people will say, this man we are burying today, he had a warrant arrest from International Criminal Court.
We're burying a fugitive today.
If they let us see what happened to Gicheru. Okay. Something we are keen on watching.
I know we're almost done because of our time. I don't know if we have somebody else on the line. I'm not sure. But let's look at a story here that has caught my attention from Tanzania as we even conclude, and then come back and look at the BBI and what it says about devolution we've seen. Our governors, Professor, this morning, we are learning that they have a raft of other things that they want changed and included in the BBI, so we shall have that. I looked at that earlier, but we shall talk about it even as we look at how BBI has addressed matters devolution. So this story on page 12 of the Daily Nation says, a Tanzanian politician flees to Kenya over fears for his life. Former member of parliament, God bless, his name is God bless. Isn't that wonderful? God bless Lima, handed to Kenya authorities after fleeing with his wife and children. The story is on page 12. Oh, wow. Who do we have in Tanzania? Now, Tanzanian even in Kenya, we don't hear such stories. We don't hear such, like people fleeing for their lives with their wives and children. A Tanzanian ex-member of parliament has fled to Kenya with his family to escape what he terms as threats to his life, as opposition leader Tundu Lissu, who is seeking refuge in the German embassy, called for non-recognition of the country's recent polls. Mr. Godbless Lema, the former MP for Arusha Urban Constituency, fled by road with his wife and 3 children. He was received at the Namanga border by his lawyer George Luchiri Wajokaya, a very good friend of Doctor, by the way, who said the politician will seek asylum in Kenya. I have handed him over to the Kenyan police for processing. He is ready to die in a Kenyan jail than the Tanzanian police, who are still pursuing him as we speak. Mr. Lema was arrested by Tanzanian authorities together with other politicians in the aftermath of October 28th elections, but was later released on police bond without charge. Okay, there we go. So that is what is happening there in Tanzania.
Miriam,
yeah.
There is now a confirmation of what I said. That those who don't learn from history,
yes, are bound to repeat it.
They are repeat it, and Don't repeat history because we already have history. There's nothing under the new under the sky. So what we need to do, Tanzania is going transformation, and Miriam, it is not going to be the same again. Miriam, when you put water on a cup, when it fills up, some of it spills down. So Miriam, yes, Magufuli Pombe as league direction has been sworn in, is the president for Tanzania. But you see even now what the international community, and this is what Dr. Matsanga said, and he said now the NGOs, the George Soros have knocked the door. Tanzania is not going to be the same. They will campaign international. You see what happened to Zimbabwe, and I'm telling you for sure, and I'm not lying, that Tanzania is heading there. They will get transactions. They will get sanctions. Miriam, when it comes to the violation of human rights, and let me tell you, the Democrats in America, with them, they are very key on human rights. Very key. Human rights are very fundamental. So, but what I need to do here is that I've already given my recommendation what the Tanzania need to do. Let them just continue engaging, having a conversation there, and do where there's something they can do with their constitution. And even the 98% of members of parliament, Miriam, those who don't see evil, hear no evil, talk no evil, they will start, those are the same people who will start a revolution. They will say that things are not right. So Miriam, I wish God blessed every bit of success in his endeavors, and let me just be admitted in Kenya. Miriam, when you learn out of your country simply because you are not safe, I hope that we can give him the place to be. In any event, we are East Africa. Because sometimes myself, I don't talk about we are Kenyan. I talk I'm East African.
East African. I don't know how President John Pombe Magufuli will take that, because we know already he has very, very bad, I don't know, some attitude towards Kenya, as we have seen in the past there. So knowing that Kenya will be offering a safe haven to this opposition leader who has, flee to Kenya because his life, he feels, is threatened, do you think that will sever the ties even further?
Yeah. He may not take it kind, Miriam. We don't want to do what Mwalimu Nyerere did, and that is where sometimes I don't find it very good. Sometimes you can do good things, and sometimes you do bad things because you are human.
Okay.
Ochuka in 1982, it was the Kenya Air Force, when they tried to overthrow the government, he ran to Tanzania. When he ran to Tanzania, you decided to bring him back to Kenya. When you brought him back to Kenya, what happened? He was hanged. So when Miriam, it tells you that when someone has learned you so that you give him safety and you give him protection, Miriam, you didn't invite him. He has only come and knocked the door. So do you just say, I don't want you in, and you go and do this? So Miriam, the least we can do, if we cannot give him asylum here, we can be able to allow him to process his papers, and he can go to where he feels safe.
And because we're all members of the United Nations, there are international laws that governs asylum seeking and refugee, whatever. So Kenya is just doing in line with what it's required to do. So you cannot send back a person who has come back to your country, run to your country because they feel they're threatened. So Kenya is bound to offer him that, because we are tied by the United Nations Charter on that. So that's why President Magufuli, hakuna mambo ingine, all right? So isolated.
We
might start seeing some passive aggression.
We are neighbors. Which another nearest neighbor you could have learned to? You could have learned to Indian Ocean?
No, and Mozambique, there's trouble there, so you can't even go there. So
the least we can do, if that one, Miriam, reminds me, as I grew in the village, someone will be beating his wife, and when there was a domestic violence, and you can hear the neighbor literally killing his wife, and there's nothing you can do, because if he comes to your house, it becomes personal. I hope that we have overlived that, but because we have got you are bound to respect the human rights of people. And Kenya, in terms of Chapter 4 Bill of Rights, we are very progressive. The least we can do, to God bless, is to give him safe haven to to get out of Kenya if we are going to have bad blood with our neighbor. What you can do to the person who is beating his wife is to say that you cannot remove this person from my house. What you can do is let her just go even back to her home. But you cannot literally give someone who is trying to escape domestic violence so that you just give that person to go and be killed. We have got conscience, Miriam. So as a country, we have got conscience, and we will process. There are so many countries which will give. Miriam, remember, this is the channel we have walked. This is the channel we have walked. Kenya to be where we are today, Miriam, we have suffered.
And the people who have paid,
and we will not want to do that one to a neighbor. See what Uganda did to Koigi Wamwere. Yeah, they just dodged him and they got from Kampala and they got him to just to be in detention and do some. We have walked that part, Miriam, and we cannot want to subject God press or any other person who will want to go through Kenya and do his. He has already stated his mind that he rather dies in a Kenyan jail if he has committed an offense.
Then
Miriam, we give him his wishes, Miriam.
All right, very well. But I hope he doesn't die here. I hope he goes to a safety place if that will bring some bad blood. But as I said there, Kenya is just bound to do that because we are all members of the United Nations, and so there are laws there that demands of Kenya to act the way it has acted. And so on the front pages of the Standard newspaper, isolated world leaders abandon Trump. The high office slowly slipped away from an increasingly forlorn American president who refused to concede defeat. Yesterday, a dark gloom hung over the White House upon realization that Trump's second term had gone up in smoke following Joe Biden's election win. And we've seen Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu there send a tweet. Congratulations, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Joe, we've had a long and warm personal relationship for nearly 40 years, and I know you are a great friend of Israel. I'm sure President Trump must have taken a lot of offense with that tweet from Prime Minister Netanyahu. And UK Prime Minister Johnson says, congratulations to Joe Biden. The U.S. is our most important ally, and I look forward to working closely together on our shared priorities from climate change to trade security. And Indian Prime Minister Modi says, congratulations, Joe Biden, on your spectacular victory. I look forward to working closely together once again to take the India-U.S. relationships to greater heights. And I remember that visit Trump made in India, and he was treated like a loyalty. I'm sure he's taking these things very personally right now. He doesn't understand that once you're out of the way, you're out of the way, and the other country will deal with the new leader there. So he might not have the capacity to comprehend. You see, education is good. We shall not even go into that because our time is up, Professor.
Very well, Miriam.
So we will take a break, and then we shall come at the top of the hour, 11 a.m. East African time, and look at the BBI and see the part that addresses devolution, even as we relook at some of the demands there that our governors are making. I'm still offended by the fact that they don't want the gender balance there. I don't know. But we shall look at that in depth. Thank you so much, Professor. So we shall see our viewers here on the top of the hour. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Good morning to you.
Bye-bye.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.